What wedding moment made you think they are not going to last long? When she went alone on her honeymoon, because she booked a trip to the Caribbean despite her newlywed husband having a severe sun allergy. Edit, because this kinda blew up and I saw some mean comments about her. She was a good friend and they had been together for some years. They married young and it didn't occur to them that it would be strange if she went on the honeymoon and he stayed behind. He was a good guy and just wanted to see her happy, and she really wanted to go on this vacation, because she had never left the country. They separated half a year after the wedding, and my friend, the bride, told me that the marriage had been a way to prolong the relationship despite both of them knowing that it was already over some time before they got married. Kinda like a couple gets a baby to save a marriage. It really was just sad because they were a nice couple, but they stayed friends after separating. And I can guarantee that she didn't cheated on him while away, they were both really loyal. About his sun allergy, he had red hair, a really fair skin and burned up within minutes. And I mean really bad sunburn, the kind you have to go to the hospital for. He always had to wear sunglasses, long arm shirts and a hat, even on cloudy days, so the vacation was not for him. Groom got into a fist fight with the father of the bride. Split after 4 months. Context: groom and bride's dad, actually most people in these families, if I'm honest, have pretty aggressive drinking problems. Father-in-law has always hated him. I wasn't around for what actually set it off, but it ended when the bride got in the middle, got an elbow in the eye, and the happy couple left for the night. This was in rural Canada. Not Letterkenny, but basically Letterkenny. I'd say the father-in-law won the fight though. The entire bridal party, including parents of the wedded couple, entering into a betting pool of how long the marriage would last, at the wedding reception. The best man won, Price is Right rules, at 14 months. I was the best man at a wedding a few years back. At the rehearsal dinner, his future in-laws were treating him like crap. They were bossing him around, making him do crap, and talking down to him. They didn't let him hang out with his groomsmen afterwards while the bride went out and got drunk. They are now divorced. Edit to add a little detail. Yes, he should have stood up for himself. His ex's parents were making him do crap for the wedding the next day and he was too nice to say no. For you youngsters out there, this is cliche, but you really do marry the family and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, a lot of the times. Knew a couple like this. The bride's dad was an actual gangster, pretty scary individual, and he treated the groom like shit. Kept commenting on the fact that the groom only had one kidney. Bride never backed him up either, just laughed. They are divorced. When the maid of honor professed her love for my brother during her toast at my brother's wedding, and her husband walked up to the head table, picked her up and carried her away before she could embarrass him further. They lasted about 3 months after that. My brother and his wife, on the other hand, are still happily married 20 years later. The groom took the stupid cake thing to an extreme. The bride had given him his bite, and mushed a little on his chin or nose. He then took a piece and mashed it into her face so hard that I was expecting her to end up with a bloody nose. Cake and frosting got up her nose, in her eyes, down the front of her dress, etc. The bride had to go get cleaned up, had her makeup redone, and was ugly, crying within an hour of saying, "I do." He didn't give a fuck. The woman who made my wedding cake is a friend of the family, and when she was doing the consult with us, she told us that one condition that she had was that we had to have a conversation about serving each other cake. We could do whatever we wanted, we could not do it, we could serve each other nicely, we could dab it on our noses, we could do a face plant in the cake. It was our cake. But we had to agree on it together beforehand. We just cut the cake together but didn't serve it to each other. Apparently she had seen more than one marriage that got off to a rocky start because the couple was not on the same page about cake, and it was very important to her that her cake would not be a source of conflict in our marriage. I was at the wedding of one of my mom's oldest friends, and she clearly had more fun dancing with the best man after the wedding. Long story short, they dated for a while after the divorce. Your potential replacement is always closer than you think. The groom and best man had a dancing routine for getting into the church ceremony, and they got nearly halfway through it, and I guess the groom felt they hadn't received much applause and wows from us, the attendees, and decided to go back to the entrance and start all over. Sigh. Why is no one having a good time? I specifically requested it. When the groom started off his speech by saying, "We all know I didn't want to get married, but we're here for bride and child we had together _ 1 year, 3 months later they were finished. That is so sad. Had an old boss who was divorced. He told me once I should have known it wasn't going to last when the only happy moment I had on my wedding day was when I snuck out to smoke weed with my buddies in the parking lot. Weddings are unduly stressful though. I'd focus more on whether you enjoy spending time with your spouse, just the two of you." The groom had a best woman instead of a best man. Nothing wrong with that, but her toast left the whole room in awkward silence because she was clearly in love with him. Two friends of mine got married, and when they gave their vows, the guy started laughing at the part about being faithful. Oops. I once watched a live stream of the wrong Vegas wedding. The link I was given for a friend's wedding was incorrect, and during the exchange of vows, the groom got to the part about being faithful, and the bride visibly and audibly chuckled. It was hilarious to watch, but I bet they didn't last long. Love that you sat and watched their wedding. A wedding's a wedding. This will do. Why, you guys looked fantastic at the wedding. When they disappeared for half an hour during the reception. They were both saving themselves for marriage and were desperate to bone down. Which is a fine thing to want. But it turns out that was more or less the main reason they got married. They made it almost a year. So many of my friends' first marriages were within 1.5 years or less of graduating high school, and done exactly because of the no sex before marriage thing, or, if they didn't abide that, it was the "well, we had sex so now we have to get married" thing. I got engaged for the same reason, but Matrix dodged the bullet. Why, yes. Yes, I am from the Midwest. Edit, JFC, I didn't expect this to explode, and I certainly didn't expect to sorta become an anthropology specimen for coasties and Europeans. Y'all need to understand that. To the people where I grew up, you're the weird ones. It's literally all I could have had much hope of knowing, before we got consistent internet access when I was 14. And then it took literally decades to unlearn. The populations in those areas are sparse, but cover a lot of the landmass of this country. And they vote consistently. It's concerning that such a politically powerful group is so thoroughly alien to you. Look into how much control Texas has over the whole nation's textbooks, for example. I know he's from the South, not the Midwest, but Drew Morgan is a pretty decent and hilarious resource if you want more insight. If you don't want the righties in these regions to succeed in burning this country down and, yes, taking you with us too. You gotta start doing better at understanding the people living right in the thick of it. Not just treating us like a time capsule or a joke. Also, shout out to all my people who were too close to home in the original comment. I'm sorry for the flashbacks, lol. Thank you for listening to another B-Town Reddit Stories episode. Hit the subscribe button and check out our channel for more stories. Let us know your opinion about this topic in the comments.